Hi, Tara. My name is Monica. I'm your nurse here today. What brings you in?
I'm just having a difficult time just managing my kids and homeschooling them. Yeah,
Okay.
it's been
How do you feel it's being difficult right now?
um well I've got an 8-year-old girl and a 5-year-old boy, and I would say my 5-year-old boy, we've kind of ran into some issues with him in the past. Just when he was about 3, he was in daycare, and um he's just got like some anger management issues. Like, he's very emotional and he doesn't know how to regulate his emotions sometimes. So we actually just were, our daycare provider just kind of mentioned this like a few years back and said there's some issues at daycare. And so we took it seriously and we went and talked to somebody and had somebody actually come into our home. And it didn't work out. Like, at first she was super nice and we were on board with like whatever it is to help them out and see what the issues are. But I think it actually, in the end, we found that my old job, I was working 5 days a week, and he was just like detached from me. I think that he was missing that connection because I was there so much up until he was about 3, and then I decided from 3 days from my mat leave, I went only back 2.5 days, and then I increased it to 4, and then I increased it to 5. And it's only because they were like, the work is there. Do you want to come work? What would you like to do? And I'm like, yeah, I'll make money. But in the end, it was a bad decision. And so he was acting out quite a bit. And now I feel like we're just back. He got better and he's been awesome since he enrolled in kindergarten. And we've just been super grounded at home. And then this pandemic has happened, and I just feel like everything's just kind of flipped around and everything's back to the way it was. And I'm just finding it hard to just, I don't know, he's going through a stage where he's like super hard on himself, and he's even had like comments about even killing himself. I don't know, for a 5-year-old, it's mind boggling to me to hear that. And
That must be really hard to hear, coming from
yeah.
your son who is so young and thinking about those thoughts at that age, right?
Mm-hmm.
hmm How do you think that it would be better to, be at home, or do you think it would be better to be next to your son all the time, like monitor him, or do you feel like maybe connecting with him again, like not being as busy would help?
I want to, and it would be absolutely awesome, but then I'm also doing the program, and my husband's working, and I've got my 8-year-old who's got way more schooling and Zoom meetings than a 5-year-old. But I don't know. It just feels like the balance of everything is it's tough. It's
Mhm.
feels like I made a choice to go back to school at 40 years old, and then the anxiety. I don't know. I just feel like I had a little bit of anxiety before, like enrolling into a program at this age and taking a huge step out of my comfort zone. But now I feel like, did I make the right decision? Like, my family's falling apart, and I don't know, am I going back to square one? That's just like, I feel like it's just a lot to deal with. And I feel like, did I do this? Like, am I making him not grow? And is he just getting more angrier being at home? Am I not a good role model to be around? Like, I don't know. It's been tough, but I think, I mean, the teachers and stuff say like he's like at school, they say he's amazing. Like, he's such a structured kid. Like, he's so good with structure and with rules, and that's how our household has been, right? It's everything. They thrive on that, right? They thrive on their balance of rules and balance of like lacrosse and soccer and like activities and a dose of the neighborhood kids. And now it's like trying to keep them away from each other, and it's chaos right now.
So
Wow.
you're finding that balance is an issue because you're in school and then having to deal
Yeah,
with everything
I'm
else.
just, yeah, I'm starting to question myself whether I'm making the right decision. And Is it this big decision, is it best for all of us, and is it doing well, are they doing well? But I know that throwing the COVID isn't helping. Like, it hasn't helped, because I mean, my self-care helps me feel better, and my self-care helps my family feel better, and it's like a
Mm-hmm.
domino effect, obviously. But
Yeah, your self-care is important to you.
yeah, big
Mm-hmm.
time. Hmm.
So have you done anything in self-care for yourself?
I started running, but I'm up in a really hilly hair area, so I got shin splints, so I couldn't even like barely walk for a few days.
That's too bad.
Yeah, so I was like, okay, well, that was great. Throw that one out the door. I mean, I'm one to be really super motivated, but I don't know, maybe that's part of this whole process, is like everyone's kind of stuck. You get into like a little bit of maybe a depression, and then your kids see, maybe they sense it. I know kids can sense the parents' emotions quite often, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I've read enough articles and books on stuff like that, but
Mm-hmm.
maybe they sense me kind of struggling, and so then they are struggling. But my daughter seems to be good. She's super resourceful, and she seems to be pretty confident and
Yeah.
independent. So, but yeah, I don't know. I worry about him. I think it's just like we went through a phase where we got him some help, but we realized that it wasn't the proper help. And it was more of, the more I looked into it, the more it was like I took time away from work, my old job, and I stayed at home.
Mm-hmm.
And he got better. He just all of a sudden was like regulating his emotions. And so I realized, okay. And then I went through, and then I quit my job eventually, kind of after that, thinking like, I'm going to just look for a different career and go back to school maybe, but focus on my family. And so you jump into this, and then the COVID, and I don't know, I just feel like we're just kind of like in a zone where we're trapped. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it sounds like there's a lot going on, especially with COVID. It kind of hinders everything for like all families, I would say.
yeah,
Especially children, they're not used to this, being at home, homeschooled, and not having the
yeah,
same routine, right?
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. It's a little, I don't know, it's a different lifestyle, but I know it's not forever. So I mean, that's how I'm able to probably get through it, is to think it's going to come to an end, don't worry. But then you have a morning where he's having a huge meltdown for an hour and crying hysterically, and my husband's trying to manage him while I'm trying to prep for a collab. And I don't know, it's like
Yeah, it sounds hard.
yeah, it's frustrating for him and I don't know, I hope that he'll be ready to roll for grade 1. That's what I'm worried about, is
Mm-hmm.
that it was like a 6 months of craziness that kind of backtracked. I'm just worried about him and his thoughts and why he's so hard on himself. And maybe it's because we're getting mad at him all the time lately, but we're not. We're just trying to like guide him and teach him. And but he takes it so seriously, and so he's so angry. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. So, in what ways do you feel that like your son is having like anger issues?
I don't really know. I mean, he just feels like he's being picked on, and we're like, we're not being picking on you. We're reminding you like 5 times to do something,
Mm-hmm.
right? So we can either, and then we eventually have to really yell it, like, and we're tired. I need you to hear it the first few times.
Mm-hmm. So he's having a hard time getting direction
Yeah,
and like following through his.
yeah. And it's normally like in the household, I can motivate him in a way funner, more positive way, to attract a kid to do something, to make a change. You got to find some creative way that
Mm-hmm.
makes it kind of fun.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's just, you're exhausted. So you're just kind of Brody, I just asked you to do this 3 times, Brody. Like,
Mhm.
and eventually he's just like, "Bleh," like, big yelling match back. And you're like, okay, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens. I'm just worried about him. And then just the comment that he made, he hasn't made any sense. But it's still in my mind. It was a couple weeks back, just about him like taking a rope and he wants to kill himself because he's tired of being us mad at him all the time. And I was like, oh, okay, where did this come from? Like,
Yeah, that,
we don't watch any shows that are really weird. And I don't know, it was just kind of like, it threw me off. So,
mm. Wow, that sounds really like shocking to hear that, and you question why he would have those thoughts, where he came up with that, you know?
yeah.
Do you feel like maybe getting more from him about that?
Like, what do you mean?
Do you feel that maybe asking Brody, your son, like why he has those thoughts and like where it came from, kind
Well,
of.
he says it's from like Transformers, which is, I don't know. Haven't seen them all. My husband watches that with them, but
Mm,
yeah, we have. It's not like we ignore it and we go, oh my God, like he said something and you leave it. I had a good chat with him and so did my husband. And then I kind of didn't really revisit it another time, but I've constantly been like reassuring him that he's just really loved and you have a loving family and you just, if you're angry or upset, you can talk to me and, come see mom, come cuddle and we can just chat. Right. Yeah.
okay, well, that was good that you brought it up to him, because obviously as a mother, like being concerned over his, well-being, it's good to talk to him about those topics too.
Yeah.
If you didn't, then how, like, what else is he really thinking about?
He's just, I would say like even just the neighborhood, we're all really close here in our cul-de-sac, but I would say he's probably the most, has the strongest personality of all the kids and
Mm,
can get heated quite quickly. And so I don't know, they all love him. Like it's like they're really, I mean, nobody would ever really say anything about him, but they know they can't go out there and parent. Like if I wasn't out there, it's hard for them to, they're gonna say the best interest for Brody, but I mean, I feel bad if I'm not out there and I hear him yelling out there. I'm like, okay, what happened? And
yeah.
you always think the first thought is like, what did Brody do
Hmm.
to Nico or to Dominic?
Hmm.
And they're all Italian. I feel like maybe it's just a hot-headed Italian cul-de-sac. Who knows? It's like where I met Brody's, like my husband's half Italian, and we're neighbors with like, and I don't know. I feel like they all kind of talk about that, about the heated. Everyone's just so,
Hmm.
all the boys especially, they get really heated, and it's funny. Their personalities show, but Brody of all, just kind of just, I don't know how I explain it. I can't
That,
leave him alone out there. That's pretty much, it's like,
so that concerns you if you leave him alone out there.
yeah. And then I feel bad because I'm like, what did he do? And they're like, oh, he didn't do anything. He's just angry because he didn't get his way with this game or he didn't get his way with this game. And it's like, Brody, you have to give in and you have to play fair and they
Hmm.
have to have turns. And it's weird because I feel like Billy and I, my husband and I, we didn't grow up like that. But I have a parent that I don't know, from what I can see as the child and my aunts and uncles say about my own mother, she was very much like that, like very much stubborn, did not give in, her way or the highway, like, and there was no other way around it.
Hmm.
There's no giving in. It was like nobody could deal with her, no one can work with her, nobody can, and it was just very frustrating because you should be able to do that with people.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, it sounded like when you mentioned earlier that you had someone come in and help Brody like manage his anger, that helped. It didn't help very much.
No,
No.
no, she just, the way she came in, we kind of like, we had 6 visits with her. It was the 6th visit. We kind of just mentioned her at the end. We had a talk and just said, it's not working because she just was like basically assessing the situation for like five times. Like, I mean, the sheets that we had to fill out were stupid. Like, and it was through a friend of mine that's a social worker that said, yeah, just try this, try this. It's something to just see how another perspective can see what's happening in your house.
Mm-hmm.
She was boggled, but she also was like, I haven't seen an episode about him. Like every time she was here, nothing was happening. But then the 6th time when something did, it's like she was pointing, like telling my husband, okay, so now you see how, like she's just trying to tell my husband how to parent him.
Okay.
But really, all in all, it was more of me just taking time off work and staying home and reconnecting with him.
So you staying at home more obviously connected you
Oh
more,
yeah.
helped.
Yeah, I only went back to work 2 days a week. I think went back to the 2.5 and stayed home with him. And he was like, he just instantly within weeks was like
Mm-hmm.
just super listening, didn't have to ask him more than 3 times, like
You showed
super neat.
improvement.
Pardon me?
You showed improvement, right?
Yeah, so we kind of figured that during that process that she was coming and then I was off work but or less hours. I realized that's what it was. It's like he's so angry that he's so close with me. You know, our bond is super close, and that
Mm-hmm.
just was missing me. So he was just lashing out in anger, like,
Yeah.
yeah. And it makes sense. The more you read up on that kind of stuff, it does make sense. He was just disconnected. So now that I'm back, you know, heavy course load and then the pandemic and then no self-care, I don't know. And then it's just like, I don't know, I feel like we're going backwards to where we were, even though I am home.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you're in school full time,
Yeah,
your
your mind.
time is so consumed with all of the homework
Yeah.
that your time isn't
If
spent
I'm
with.
not doing homework with them or not cooking or
Yeah.
cleaning the house, or I mean, even I even asked my husband, like, we have a big house and like we need to hire a cleaner. I can't
Mm-hmm.
doing this anymore. Like, and he cleans, he helps, but no, we don't need that. We don't need to pay for anybody to do that. It's like, yeah.
Yeah, because you're so unavailable to do all those tasks now.
So there's no time to calm down,
Mm-hmm.
like to actually spend quality time is what I feel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Have you changed anything like because you've noticed all of this, like it's hard to balance, you got school, you got a lot of workload. Have you and your husband or even just yourself thought about making small changes, like dedicating 1 hour or a certain time to your son, or just a day? Like, have you noticed any kind of improvement, or even for yourself, self-care, like at least being open with your husband or even your kids and just
Yeah.
explaining that, being, I have so much homework to get done from this time to this time. I can dedicate this time for you. It's just temporary because school will be finished fairly soon for you.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
how do you
think
think it would
the
be better?
yeah, the intention is there. It's like there's some days where you're like, hey, I'm gonna do this, and
Mhm.
later on I'm gonna take him to the bike ranch, and then you go to the bike ranch and there's like 5 other kids there, and he hops off his bike and he wants to play in the dirt with the kid, which we can't.
Oh, yeah, that's amazing.
Like, okay, I just asked you 3 times to not get off your bike. You have to bike here, buddy. Like, you can't go play with anybody right now. And I don't know those kids too. I might feel better if it was a neighbor kid that hasn't left the cul-de-sac. But and then he's all angry, and then you leave that place, and then you're just like, well, that backfired. I just feel like everything that I've attempted to do is like,
Backfires.
this is not working.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
that was
then when
so
you
hard.
want to go and do something like a big hike, they're outside and they're, you know, going each lining up. Like we've spaced it where we're like, okay, guys, you can go through the sprinkler, but you have to line, we do the chalk, you know, like you improvise some fun things for them to keep
Well, that's
spaced out. All right, now line up behind all the lines.
yeah.
And okay, do you want to go for a bike ride after this? No, I'm going to do this for a few hours. Okay, well, that makes them, so, I mean, whatever just makes them have fun, right? So,
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, you're definitely doing your best to keep them entertained and finding that quality time with your kids. But then it's just when you do those like, activities, then it backfires on you because if there's other children around,
well, yeah, I didn't think he'd ever get off his bike at the bike ranch. And I'm like,
Mhm.
hey, that's once. All right, well, big deal. Twice. Okay, Brody, you can. We're
Yeah.
going to leave if you're going to get off your bike again. And then he does, right? Like he's a busy little guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And very his way. Like it's weird because it's not what my person, like he's completely different than my personality. He reminds me a little bit of myself when I was little, but not to the point. I don't know. My aunts and uncles say like he's spitting image of my mom, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh no.
You took on your mother's traits.
Which I'm like, hopefully it grows out of the
Yeah.
stubborn ones, right? But
Yeah, it could be a phase.
it could be just a phase, but yeah. So I don't know. I'm just worried about. I think that comment he made a few weeks back has kind of been worrisome for me as a mom
Yeah.
and my focus. And then self-care is not there for me. So then I'm not taking care of them. And then he's just angry and lashing out, not listening. And my husband's like had enough and I've had enough. And yeah, so just trying to keep our family together, figure it out.
Yeah. It's a lot going on for you. I just wanted to like summarize everything you said. You mentioned that your son is having difficulties. He said some things that have concerned you. He's obviously, you were mentioning that he has a little bit of anger issues and you're trying to deal with that. And you found that staying home more and giving him your undivided attention helped a lot and improved. But since you're in school and it's full time, and not only are you in school full time, but you're also maintaining the household, and that sounds like it's taken on a lot on you, and you're not giving the self-care that you're supposed to for yourself, which is important to you. But it's
Mhm.
also important for yourself to give your attention to your kids because that's something that is you care a lot about. And it's just a big balancing issue for you right now, and it sounds like it's taken a toll on you. You just don't know really like where to go and or how to even start because when you start to make changes or try to do something, it backfires on you and it makes you feel like, like why am I doing this?
Mhm. Yeah, I just feel, yeah, you sound about, I think it's about right. I feel like I'm just hopeless,
Mhm.
wondering if everything is worth, I don't know. Yeah.
Well, I think you know what, you shouldn't be too hard on yourself about everything. You have a lot going on, and I think people who would be in your shoes may or may not be doing like as much as what you're doing already. Um, and what you're going through right now is temporary. And there is lots of support. Your husband's there to support you too. And sounds like you have a close knit neighborhood. You have friends that are there to help you as well. And I'm. It's hard to make plans and then they don't work out. But I think you're trying, and I think that's the best thing you could be doing. So I don't
Mhm.
think be so hard on yourself about it.
Yeah, I think you're right. I'm a bit hard on myself.
I think it's important to find that time for yourself too, because I feel like if you don't give yourself the self-care that you need, you won't be able to give yourself to anybody else if you're
Yeah.
not well, if you're not, relaxed or, doing things that you like to do, like once upon
Yeah.
a time, like you intended on doing that, but then you got shin splints, but, maybe getting back on the running somewhere on a flat trail, like grass or something, and that'll make you feel back to yourself, and then that might make you feel more motivated. And
Yeah.
I find that helps a lot too, being motivated and doing other things, and everything seems to fall into place a little bit better.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think I need to just get out for an hour and go running, like even MacArthur Island or something. Just,
Mm-hmm. Would your
yeah.
son run with you?
Pardon?
Would your son run with you?
He'd probably bike. He
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't be able to I like to run long distance, so he'd probably die eventually. But he would bike. So, but my daughter runs like me, like she was in long distance. So I might just I might even live today, maybe.
Mhm.
Be a good idea just to grab them since my husband's golfing.
Yeah,
And
that
just
sounds
go
good.
for a run and get him to bike with us. And yeah,
Give it a try.
yeah.
Okay, Tara, it'd be nice to get back to next week. We could talk about, see how things went, and I hope everything goes well for the rest of the week for you.
All right. Thanks, Monica.